Hi everyone, welcome to Free Devs and a Maybe. This is our fourth podcast. If you haven't listened before, just listen to the other three, but this is a podcast for people who know nothing about PHP or might know a little bit and just want to get to grips with some of the theory and some of the big topics. So as usual, my name is Michael Budd, I should mention that. I'm a developer for Extra Digital in Canterbury in the UK, doing mainly back-end development, and I'm joined as ever by my fantastic web developer friends and former colleagues, Ed Mann, Fraser Hart and Lewis Keynes. So,
hello. Good evening. Hello.
So let's start off as we always start off, and let's go around and see how everyone's weeks were. And this week, I'm actually going to specify names. We'll go in alphabetical order again. So
that makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let's go, Ed Mann. How you doing?
Yeah, really well. Very tired. Very, very tired.
Go on,
Lewis
then.
dragged me out on Saturday night, and actually Saturday during the day as well. We just had a bit of a good drinking session.
Podcast researching session.
Podcast, I like that. Yeah, research. You know, we're doing it for the better good. You know, for the greater good. But no, it was mainly just drinking. A lot of drinking
with the intention of
drinking. The first few hours, the conversation was definitely fairly on the ball, but yeah, it's just deteriorated.
It deteriorates quick, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Like it goes up and then it just goes bang straight down.
It does when you go out with you drinking, definitely.
Yeah, it was great. And then Sunday was just recuperating from that. During the week, I had a chance to get the 3 Devs and a Maybe website running and deal with the feed, which has been a complete pain in the ass by iTunes because they insist on making it like the hardest thing to do in the world.
Absolute nightmare. I'm so grateful for you doing that, man. It was.
That's all right. No, I've had some time, so yeah, more than welcome.
Wow, and I see you've been doing some more blogs as well.
Done some more blogs, yes. Actually, got a little bit of a little rant with Twitter API.
Ooh.
But we'll come back to that, I'm sure, like with pics and stuff.
Okay, no worries at all. Fraser, you've been busy rowing again.
I have. Well, again, it was the first time we've had the boat out since we've had it in our possession. Yes, wow. I was down in Falmouth in Cornwall. Went down there on Friday night, and then we had the boat out all day on Saturday. Didn't drown, didn't sink the boat, so it was a good thing. But got sore arms and sore legs, so wow. I think I'm going to have to do a bit more training to get into preparation for the big row. Anyway,
nice.
Web development wise, it's been fairly quiet, to be honest with you. I've had today off work, from the office, so I've spent the time doing a bit of freelance stuff. So this is something that probably ties in quite well with what we were talking about last week and what we're going to touch on this week. I'm having real issues with the server that I'm trying to get a website live on.
Really?
The clients basically decided they want to move to me and a guy that I work with for the actual website development, but they want to keep the hosting with the old guy. But the old guy was basically, the old website was a static HTML website, so there was nothing fancy on there.
Yeah.
So it's just been an absolute nightmare, and we're still trying to resolve that. So it's been a bit of an unproductive day today, unfortunately.
Is that the Stack Overflow thing, Fraser, that you did?
It is, yeah.
I did see a guy put an answer to that on there. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hang on. I've got Stack Overflow in front of me now. Yeah, I'll have a look at that later. I'm sit here reading while we're supposed to be doing a podcast.
All the listeners are waiting anxiously to see whether you got your answer or not.
Yeah, I'll report back next week on that.
Incidentally, slightly off topic, but I'm just interested. How far did you go out in the boat? Because I'm trying to think, like, Farm, we've got like an estuary, right? So
yeah, that's right. We went out in, what's the name of the estuary? It was Penryn. I think it was Penryn Estuary or Penryn River that we actually launched the boat from.
Yeah,
and then went out into the bay. So we didn't go. We were still in the shelter of the bay the whole time, but we were out for about 8 hours or so, and we covered about 18 miles. So not a huge distance compared to what we've got to do.
Wow, that's still pretty
really good to get out there. And I've never done any proper rowing before, so it was good to get out there and actually see what we're going to be doing.
Definitely. Wow. Well played. Lou.
Yo.
Good week?
Yeah, very good week. Not so much on the development front. There's still not been much going on there, but there's been Christmas parties and various things going on, so it's been a lot of fun.
How was the Christmas do?
Yeah.
The Christmas do, yeah, it was all right. It was Well, I say it was low key. Bearing in mind, I used to work at a doctor's surgery, so Christmas parties entailed going around doctors' houses for dinner. So compared to that, it was an absolute rave. But there were just 10 of us that went out for a meal. It was quite a nice civilised evening. Few drinks. Felt a bit ropey at work on Friday, but I think I'm not as bad as Mr. Bud by the sounds of it.
You know what, man?
Thursday, and had to go in for wake up at 6. And that doesn't sound nice.
It wasn't ideal, no. Yeah. But I mean, other bits and bobs been going on. I met up with our good friend Ed Mann on Wednesday night, and he showed me through DigitalOcean, this new VPS thing that he's been raving about, and I've now got an account up and running with them and stuck one of my sites on there. And
because you did virtual host stuff yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, got all that sorted out. It looks brilliant actually. I love the fact that you can just make whatever server you want with it. So, it's good. I'm going to gradually get all my stuff transferred over to that, I think.
I feel like I'm missing out on this because you three are all using this now, and I don't really know much about it, but I'll have to check it out sometime in between.
The good thing, where I said about last week where you don't know the differences sometimes between transferring from local to live?
Yeah.
The good thing with this is that you get to set it all up yourself. You're not at the mercy of whatever you're given. So,
sure.
Cutting edge, like the latest version of PHP on it and all that stuff. So...
Yeah.
I mean, I can't fault it, to be honest.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I think that's been about it. It's been a quick week, actually. It doesn't seem like a week's gone by since last Monday.
Yeah, it's going very quick at the moment, I have to admit. Yeah. Nice.
How about you, Bud? How's your week been?
It's pretty full on at the moment. I'm not going to lie to you.
Java front.
Java, just covering some quite not difficult topics, but just stuff that's new to me. And honestly, I hope anyone who listens to this takes confidence from listening to me, because it takes me 10 attempts to learn something before it sinks in.
You're kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Away, which I love.
And this never comes easy to me, and I just have to keep plugging away at it. But certainly, I've played with a bit of inheritance. I use a bit of PHP, but with Java, it's like a whole different ball game. And then multiple inheritance it's not mega hard, but it's like knowing what to use when and why. And certainly when you first see it, you think, well, what's the point? I don't really understand it. But
interfaces.
All you're doing is you're just giving a promise that something will be there. It's like a contract. So it's weird, but I must admit, quite guilty, but I've not played with traits in PHP yet, and you think, well, it sounds awesome. I need to.
Like mixing, they are really good.
Yeah,
they are
definitely
stolen from the Scala, I think. But
that's it. But then, other than that, really, today I've been playing with Magento, which is always a nightmare. But I actually think the Magento code base is pretty good. But it's the kind of thing that if you're hoping to do something really quickly, then don't expect to get great results.
WordPress? Question mark?
I think it's a lot...
Don't go there.
Sorry, babe. I'm sorry.
It's a lot better than WordPress. It really is. It's a bit similar to... Well, I think it's built on Zen framework.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And I've not really used Zen myself before, but you have got this similar sort of thing where everything comes through the one file and then everything's just rooted off, really.
And the front-end controller.
Exactly. And trying to, do something that's, specific to one page, is tricky, really. You should spend a lot of time to work out what the code's doing. But, it's like in a commercial environment, you've probably got 5 hours to get something done, and,
It has to get it done.
Yeah. So
actually saying that in your free time, though, you've did a blog post on Friday.
I have, yes.
Yeah, somehow found time to do a blog post.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, it was kind of I wanted to do it for work anyway, and but I also wanted to know myself how to do it, because obviously I've been using JUnit with Java, which is so nice and easy and out the box, where with PHP it's a bit more of a setup process to get it done. That said, you're looking at 2 Perl commands really to get it installed, but in order to make it kind of viable for where I work, I knew my boss would want some sort of GUI interface. So, I actually need to make sure that I'm giving credit to the right guy here. But, I just Googled and had a look to see if anyone had built some sort of GUI interface for PHP unit. And sure enough, this guy had. He put something up on on GitHub. So Nick Sinopoli. I hope I pronounced his name right, but yeah, he's built this great system. Looks like it's just using Bootstrap. But yeah, it's great. You just
Bootstrap, brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, you just
don't have to put that in the show notes.
Yes, I will.
We will have show notes now. Finally, iTunes. We've
got somewhere to live.
So you've
somewhere to live, baby.
So we can do that.
It is live.
Yeah. Can we announce that yet?
Sees it.
URL for that, because I don't think people are aware of where it is.
Yeah. Is it
3devsandamaybe.com?
3devs, THREE, devsandamaybe.com.
Yeah.
It's the number. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say.
Oh, no, and the number 3 just redirects to this, so...
I get it. So you bought the number 3 as well, so we do owe you 2 beers each.
Well, 13 beers.
Okay.
Right.
Round it up to the nearest.
We'll go 13.
Christmas Day. We'll do
and
it.
if you don't drink more, then you have to pay for them.
I don't like that game. Oh, dear.
So anyway, yeah, I do really recommend that PHP unit.
It looked really nice, actually. When I was looking at your guide and I had a little play around with it, and it looks ideal. It's just what you want. You know, you do want to have a GUI front end sometimes, and you know, it is nice to see all green and, you know.
Yeah, well,
how easy was it to set up on your site though? Like, is it one installation per project or per server?
I was thinking
how would you do it?
You could do it. You could do it per server, definitely. At the minute, I've done it per project. So
how does it read it? Is it like the XML file, the PHP XML file?
What it does is you have a folder, and then you put any test class in there, and it just scans that directory and checks for any tests that you've got in there. And then
cool.
It lists them out.
Then.
Yeah, and then you can select which test you want to run. You could run them all or run them individually. So honestly, it's really. I set it up in half an hour, and I did my tutorial in about another half an hour. So really quick and easy. And the thing is, I don't want to go too far off topic, but like in my lectures this week, I've been talking all about error reporting, and I honestly get so bogged down when I find errors in my code, and I really take it to heart and think, I'm a crap developer. But at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes, and like I think you saw my tweet today, didn't you?
I did see your tweet today. Yes, that is very good, very wise words.
Well, yeah, but honestly, like everyone makes mistakes, and at the end of the day, it's so hard to anticipate the mistakes you're going to make. How can you do that? Human error.
It wouldn't be a mistake if you already knew it. Because.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, to anyone who's listening to our podcast and starting out and they're getting loads of errors and thinking maybe, they're not a good developer and in 5 years' time they'll never get any errors, you will. You will always get errors.
Yeah. You'll get them in error reported mode, in lovely like log files and stuff using
exactly
Stasher and all these other cool funky things. So
do you know what upsets me? Anytime you write a decent bit of code, you don't get anything coming up telling you how good it is. Or maybe you do. I just haven't had that.
PHP 5.5, I think that's coming out, definitely.
Is it?
It's in there.
Is that your pull request?
Yeah.
You've got unit testing where you just see all these nice little ticks, which makes you feel good. But
exactly. Well, that is the point, actually, that look, everyone makes mistakes, but you can handle it in some respect if you're doing testing. Even if it's just like a spreadsheet and you just write out a list of tests, it's how you try and manage it, I guess. But you're always going to make mistakes. Human error is always going to creep in. So
absolutely.
But you'd never get better either, though, would you, if you didn't make mistakes?
Exactly. Yeah. It's cliche, but that is the way you learn. So,
so I always have like the strictest error modes turned on when I'm doing stuff.
Locally, always have them. You want to find everything, even if it's just a warning. You want to find it because when it goes live and you just see that. I remember you said last week the white screen of death.
That was just because of it was a my model file with a CodeIgniter thing, and it was capital MY _ capital M, and it should have been a small m. And when you're looking down a whole list of files, you can very, very easily not see that. And obviously, with the white screen of death, I didn't know where to go with it. I was kicking myself afterwards. But funny enough, locally, it was working fine. So there you go.
The other thing is, you've got those errors that will kill the script, but then you've just got the kind of logical errors where the computer's like, yeah, that's fine, no problem, that's all good. But actually, there is a problem. Maybe your product doesn't get added to the basket.
Oh, the business logic. That's right, yeah.
And that kind of stuff, that is harder to test for.
Oh, syntactically it's fine. So, it gets compiled and interpreted. But yeah, the actual when it's not doing what you want it to do.
Yeah. So, we've been exploring that this week, but yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about error handling later in the podcast series. So
huge part.
So I won't say too much about it, but all I will say at this point is, if people are getting loads of errors, don't worry about it, because you will have that throughout your programming career, guaranteed.
And it's part of the learning process as well, and you learn where things are wrong from the error messages and what have you. So yeah. But there's nothing wrong with you.
Exactly. Unless you are just a really bad developer.
Very much part of the process.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my hot pick for the week. I don't know if you guys have got anything you'd like to plug that you've used this week.
There's actually nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that I've used.
No,
that I've touched before. Yeah, so I'll step out of this one.
No worries, Edman. You're usually good. Oh, sorry, Lou. Go on.
No. I was just going to say something that I struggled with today, that I always struggle with.
Go for it.
WordPress wise, do you guys ever use WordPress?
It's been a while.
Fraser, have you ever put a site with WordPress from local to live?
Yes, I have. It's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad.
You're selling it to me.
You change like 1,000 different things in the database, don't you?
Yeah.
Pointing to the host where it is.
Yeah, otherwise none of the links go to where they should, and even images don't load properly, all sorts of stuff. Oh, I spent about 2 hours today trying to just typing out silly SQL statements to try and update everything. Oh, it was insane. It shouldn't be that complicated. For WordPress is obviously generally pretty simple to use, but for stuff like that, it's such a pain.
And it is absolutely shocking. There's no need for it at all. I can't even fathom why you need to be in a situation where it does that. I'm sure it does it for its own reasons, but there has to be workarounds for what it's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it really puts me off using it. Or if I've got a spare place on a live server to put something on there, I'll just go straight to live with it.
Yeah.
To avoid, which is obviously very, very bad practice, but it saves you so much grief in the long run.
Completely.
Yeah.
How do you rate WordPress these days? So I've not used it in ages, but you still think it's a good bit of kit?
I've always thought the same about WordPress. If you're a person that wants to make websites but doesn't want to learn how to code or anything like that, then it's spot on. You could probably make a career to some extent out of doing that. But the moment you have to go anywhere near the code, for me, it's just a bit of a pain. It's
yeah.
I'd rather write my own stuff than mess around with the WordPress code, I think. And it's not a criticism of WordPress. Obviously, they're very popular and lots of people use them, but I'm sure any developers trying to work with the WordPress code must have struggled with it for a while, certainly starting out.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really good from a user perspective, though, because I use WordPress for my personal blog and also for the Rowan website.
Right.
And it's just fantastic in terms of just ease of use for getting posts out there and getting new pages out there. I've done hardly any modifications to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's where it's perfect, when you don't need to do anything to it like that. You can just stick the pages together. It's spot on.
It's just a case of chuck it up there and then it's there and you can add your own content. It's because the themes that I'm using is basically like a slightly modified version of whatever it is that ships with it, like 2012 or 20 whatever it is. But yeah, if from a user standpoint, I think it's just a nice quick way to get a website out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Am I right to say the default theme now is responsive as well?
It is, yeah. It's been for a couple of years, I think, actually.
But
with the times, maybe.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's not bad though, is it? Completely free and stuff. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. What about you, Ed? Any hot picks for this week?
Well, I've had a couple of things this week crop up, and I thought I'd just write them down in a text file just to say it. I mean, first one was how bad iTunes, validating the feed in iTunes is a pain. It updates once a day, so really you're just getting that, and you have to test. You can test it locally by just subscribing actually in iTunes, the app. But it's so hard to pick out stuff. I mean, we had one problem where you were debugging, Mick, and it was that. It turned out that the actual file name needs to have a file name, actually, like a file extension.
Yeah.
Even though it had a file type, which I already had to specify in XML, it needed the extension in the file as well.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a pain. So they're really annoying with iTunes is that they don't provide a DTD or an XSD, and these are just ways of validating XML, so you can quickly see if you actually got valid XML or not.
Yeah.
But fortunately, there's a website called castfeedvalidator.com. And I had some really good success with that. That was great at being able to just check the actual file that's going through, seeing if it's valid or not, check the files are okay. Because one thing we did help with it, though, was we thought it seems to skew the results a little bit with downloads because it's checking things. So we thought we were very popular, even though we are. We may have a couple off, to say the least. Another thing I actually had was a JavaScript Twitter issue. So back in the day in Twitter version 1 of the API, it was very easy for you, and I'm sure you've all done it, is to get a JSON-P REST request of like someone's tweets.
Yeah.
And you're able to style them up, and it's great. You just get that, you're done. But when Twitter moved to version 1.1 at the beginning of this year, they made it that you have to use OAuth by default. You cannot go out without using OAuth, which is just a standard way of authentication, which is great. But it all means that all the stuff you have to do has to be server-side because you have to be able to actually authenticate with the servers. That is a pain because all these people, and me included, who want JSON-P, just a simple way of being able to get the tweets back. They're all public already, our tweets, the ones that we actually want to get back and everything. Can't just do it in JavaScript anymore. So It's a big pain. Fortunately, this guy I saw online, Jason Mayers, jasonmayers.com, he made a Twitter fetcher plugin that worked great, and it was very clever the way it does it. You create a widget, and then you get return the JSON-P of the widget and all of the code, like the HTML code, and you just have to parse it. The problem with his one was that it was he'd already done it was all minified and obfuscated, so you couldn't look into the code, which I always like having a little look if it's, just to have a see what's going on. But then another problem he had was that there was some formatting already. So instead I thought, well, I might as well, I've got 45 minutes, I bushed out this Twitter, like a basic OO version, raw JavaScript, and it just gets the tweets, it passes them, gets up to 20, which is the max you can get out of the widget, and gives it to you in nice object form.
So just to clarify, if you use Twitter's own API, you can't just get a nice JSON format. You
not anymore.
You get all the gubbins that they give with you, all the HTML and that kind of stuff.
No, you have to. The way I've had to go around it now is using the same way as Jason. I'm mad props doing for working it out. And you make a widget, and you return the widget, and then you just pass it yourself. And now I am literally, and I've got a blog post on it. I'll put it in the show notes. And you literally are just stripping out all the gubbins that you don't want and just keeping what you need.
Right.
But it is such a long way round. But I just wanted like a simple way of doing it, and I had 45 minutes. I thought I might as well little play myself, and I used jsfiddle.net for that. I don't know if you've played around with that, because that is great.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Well, because remember you made your little slideshow thing on there, didn't you?
And you helped me out with it on JS Fiddle. Yeah, it's
great, isn't it? It's just so good for just deving and stuff, and just playing around experiments and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you actually do on there? I've never used that.
It literally is just a combination of like JavaScript, CSS, and HTML, and it will just actually run it for you, almost like it's an IDE.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it's also great because it will say, do you want to already add jQuery in the page? So say if you're doing a jQuery site, it's great for snippets or having debug problems. Like a lot of people on Stack Overflow use it.
Yeah.
So there's a couple out there that, it's really good just for that type of thing.
Oh, to like simulate situations.
Yeah, and just to test things out and everything, like Playground. It's like a playground. It's just like an online playground where you can do it.
Cool.
Which is great. And another thing, one thing was with the iTunes thing. So the way we do the iTunes thing now is quite simple. We just use have the MP3s, and that stores all the information in now. And it was a great plugin I used back in 360 days called Get ID3. And it's a packages library now, so you can easily get into Composer, and it's great for reading MP3 tags and writing them.
I'm actually using that at the moment.
I guess for the
Musical Umbrella.
It is great, isn't it?
Right.
Get id3.sourceforge.net.
I think that's it, and it's also on Composer as well, which I liked, and it's just so good. The guy spent ages. I mean, I think it's a couple of people, must be, doing all this for all these different file formats. It's just great for me now to get like custom tags, because that's the way I'm doing the iTunes feed now. Is it's like custom tags in ID3 2.3 version or something, and it's just great. Does all the hard work for you, and I just can't say anything better for it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, because that's in that MU project that you were working on.
Yes. That for the writing album art. I mean, it just makes things so much easier. Because I wouldn't know where to start with that. Going through like file specifications for MP3. I mean, nah.
Because I'm using it mainly at the moment on a project, because we need to extract basically just track length. So it's just a really simple thing that we're using it for. I was using another library. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was called, but like all these tracks, we were like uploading the tracks, and they were coming up with like there'd be like a 5-minute track in it, and say that the length was like 12 minutes, and then like a 12-minute track would come in with like a 2-minute. So yeah, we should
reliable
because it was a small library, and then I was like, right, just throw it away. I'm going to use Get ID3.
Yeah.
Maybe overkill, but it gets the job done nicely.
It's the great thing about PHP, though. There's always something out there. Whatever you need, it's just been around for so long. There's like anything you need. There's a library out there that will help you with it. It's just
absolutely,
incredible.
And a lot of people are now putting it for composerizing and with packages. So it's great. There's like the website, I will put it in the show notes, packages.com or .org, I think it is, and you can just search for them there. I mean, even if you don't want to use the Composer version, it's great because it just literally just highlights all the good ones, and you can see what people have used. And
yeah, I really need to get into this Composer thing. I'm really way behind the time.
I think we need a show on it.
I think it's dead easy, Mike.
That'd be good. I'd love one of you guys to show me that, and we could do a show on it. That'd be awesome. But PHP unit, you can use Composer to install
that's
as well.
right. Yeah, I love that. That makes things so much easier.
Yeah. I might speak to you, Lou, then at some point and see if you'll help me out with that.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Did you have anything else, Ed? Or
no, I think that's it. Pick-wise,
you're all good. Cool. Well, we've probably spoke enough about our weeks and our hot picks, so we're going to carry on with our topic of hosting. Which we started last week, so if you haven't listened to last week's yet, I recommend you probably listen to that one first because it's going to follow on from there. And I think did we stop at DNS last time? Or
I think I interjected there and said we should. Oh, sorry, someone was.
No, I was just saying we were kind of like coming up to, or it was kind of thrown in there as we should probably talk about DNS, and I think we mentioned it briefly.
Sure. Yeah, the internet's phone book, right?
Yeah. If I understand Edge, is
so it was actually there's a couple of little points from last week's episode that I probably should bring up just for when you're thinking about getting a host.
Yeah.
And that's actually like so it's like disk space these are a couple of things that I would definitely look out for. Disk space, bandwidth, so how much you can transfer, upload and download on your host provider, access if it's FTP or SSH. Uptime is another big one because you when you see these, when you go in and you want to sign up for one of these hosting providers, none of them can guarantee 100% uptime. We have city power outages. There are things out of their control. So the way they do this, get around this, is 99.999999. I'm sure you see that there's 7 nines or 8 nines or 9 nines, and all that is percentage calculation. It's based on the downtime per year. So the more nines after the dot is better. So say like 7 nines actually means after the dot actually means 45 minutes of downtime for the year.
Okay.
And then support email-wise, online chat, telephone. I remember you saying, Lou, last week that one of the great things about Just Host, and also I think you said as well, Mickey, was that they had good online chat facilities and good communication.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the support.
Because that's the thing. Even if you're going to pay cheap, the cheaper you go, the worse communication you may get. So you have to bear that in mind. And a good way of doing that is to read the reviews and do Twitter searches. Sometimes I do. Whenever I'm checking out a product, I always do like a hashtag and then Twitter's the actual service, and I just see what the buzz is at that time.
Yeah.
The pricing, obviously, is another thing. Is it free, shared, dedicated? We talked about that last week. Linux or Windows hosting. Another thing. Right. So what to look out for is the free domain con. So some of these providers, and it's fine, a lot of them are good. I remember doing it with DreamHost. Give you a free domain in bracket, in quotes.
Yeah.
But really what they are doing is they're just trying to get you into their service, and you may have to pay a hefty price to transfer it or renew each year.
Okay.
Another one is unlimited storage, which you hear thrown about a lot. And it is unlimited storage, but if you go into like the terms of service, some of them most likely you'll have like a fair use policy or a clause in there which allows them to terminate if you're overusing the server or the CPU, which contradicts a lot of the fact that this is unlimited resources if I can't actually access the server or do stuff with the server.
Yeah.
So those are the last couple of things that I just wanted to like hammer home. And another thing is managed versus unmanaged. So managed would be our shared, where we have the control panel again, our free services. When you get into VPS and when you get into dedicated, you can have the option to be managed or unmanaged. I tend to go unmanaged only because it's cheaper, but you can actually get you can pay a certain amount a month, and you'll have technicians on hand who will quickly be able to help you. They'll monitor your sites. They'll do monitoring using software like Nagos, and there's normally the thing is that typically the higher the price of the managed solution, the more flexible technical support you'll get. So you know that you are probably paying. You're better off paying if you've got a site that can't go down, that server can't go down. You're better off paying more for it, you know, and actually having the managed solution. But if it's a site that you don't worry about, the server that you don't really need, you know, you can go unmanaged and you can handle the software and the hardware, not hardware issues, but the software issues and the updating issues all yourself.
Okay,
that's cool. Another thing where you were talking about obviously making sure you don't get conned is it happened to me just the once, thankfully, and then I made sure it would never happen again. Is that if you buy a domain, they don't always sort of notify you that it's going to expire quite often.
Oh, that's cheeky. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll just be set to auto renew unless you switch that feature off.
Very good point. Yes.
That happened with me, and so always be aware of that. Always find out where, you know, go into your domain control panel and check to see whether anything's set to auto renew, and switch that off so that they have to notify you. Otherwise, you might just find one day that money's been taken out. So yeah, again, it's all part of the learning curve. But you know, if saying that helps somebody, then you know that's obviously a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's nice. One thing I was going to say, Ed, I don't know if it's all like in your plans later in the notes. I probably should have read, but can we talk about A names and C names and all that jazz?
I've been sad enough to write down and give examples.
Yeah, no worries.
I was reading this afternoon. I was like, I better probably have a little look because I don't remember hardly any of the stuff.
Yeah.
So it was good for me just to recap myself. So we've got that, and who is information, and
okay.
This has been a really interesting part of the learning curve, actually, all this domain stuff. Now that the other developer where I am has left, I basically have to take care of a lot of this stuff. So while I'm still quite hazy on the ins and outs of it, I think I've got a general grasping of how it all works now. Yeah, it is fairly, you know, it's not as straightforward maybe as you would like.
No, I'm kind of torn on
as web developers. We need to know as well. Like, it's not inherently a web development thing, I guess, but it is a skill that we do have to have, I guess.
It's one of those server ops things, isn't it, where you can give it, if you're a big enough company that they have a whole team dedicated, but if you're a personal freelancer or you're just a small team, you definitely need to know, and you can get bit by it.
I am torn on this one because part of me thinks I like the whole modularity. I take the argument, you know, with the car analogy, that the guy who makes the steering wheel shouldn't have to know how the seatbelt is made. Like, they're two different areas, and you focus on your area. And this, you know, probably highlights over the last two shows, is that it's not my area of expertise. I don't enjoy it. It's boring. It's just an area that has to be done, but it is really important.
So switch off now.
This is a tedious episode.
One listener has gone now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I guess for some people it is really interesting, but I don't know.
It's quite high responsibility, isn't it? Because, you know, it
is, yeah.
It's keeping records up to date and making sure they're pointing to where they should go. You know, if you point something to the wrong site, you know, God knows what kind of trouble you could potentially land yourself in. So,
I suppose we probably could let the listeners know what DNS actually is then.
Yeah.
As I think Mickey, you alluded to, you know, it is the phone book for the internet. So really, that is just translating a human-friendly host name into an IP address. So, you know, your host name may be google.com, and then your address as an IP address that singles out your computer. So it's a numerical IP address. It's called Internet Protocol, and it's required to locate any computer service across the globe. And they're unique to each computer, each router, you know, etc.
I was going to say, because we had this problem at 360 with the remote desktop.
Yes, because there's not enough. Well, there is enough, but because it's when you're behind a router, then you've got your own internal IP addresses, but then you've got your WAN, which is wide area network IP address, and that's the one that's front facing.
Yeah.
Another good analogy for it is like it's the computer's GPS on the internet. So it's the location of how to locate it on the internet. there are a couple of massive benefits over a basic phone book, and that is that it's designed to be easily and quickly updated. It's fault tolerance from the ground up. There is no single point of failure, to be honest. I mean, a lot of most DNS servers know about everyone else's DNS record servers, and it goes from that. You can associate multiple IP addresses with a single domain, so that allows certain things like load balancing, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, round robin DNSing and stuff like that.
Could I just? Sorry, man. Just to interrupt briefly, I was going to say, for anyone who really is clueless about DNS, something you could do if you have like a DOS prompt over in command line. If you ping, for example, if you put ping google.co.uk, you can see the IP, and then if you put that address in the browser, you'll find that it goes to the same place as if you put google.co.uk. So it's just a good way of illustrating that okay, we've got a word, but that's actually associated with an IP address as well. And
absolutely. You can literally use the IP address as if you really wanted to. Just remember IP addresses. That'd be very sad.
I actually realised that this is like the ultimate way of doing this. Like the information on there is more up to date than on whois.com or any of those sites where you type an IP address into something or a website into whois.com and you get all the information back. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it is up to date, but I have seen a few that aren't. So by pinging it, you get the absolute 100% correct IP address.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
That's anyone?
Oh, sorry, what?
So I thought so a basic an idea of how the process goes. So like Mickey was saying with the pinging google.co.uk. So google.co.uk is a URL, so it's a uniform resource locator. And so let's say what we're going to do is open up our browser, Internet Explorer 6, hopefully, and we enter in google.co.uk. What then happens is you're assigned DNS server. So your the DNS server that you've got assigned on your computer. Is then asked to resolve that domain to the IP address, and that's called DNS name resolution. If it can't locate it, it's not in its database, it will recursively query other DNS servers that it knows about, almost like a spider crawl. It may even have to go up to the SOA, which is the start authority, and that's like the base domain record for your base google.co.uk. And then that will come back down once it's found that, or if it hasn't found it, then it will let you know it can't find it, but it will actually come down. And this is the great thing about the fault tolerance and the actual stability of it, is that at each point, at each hop, we call it, it caches that record. And what will happen then is that once you get it back, it's most likely going to be cached on all the DNS servers that it's gone to get back to you. And also your computer will cache it more likely, or your router. The way it gets around with this caching is there's a thing called each record. So each record, which is just the phone number to the actual IP address, the phone number, name to a phone number. It's actually a thing called a TTL, so it's time to live, and that's just the cache mechanism of how long it should keep hold of that record before it expires, before it needs to go and look for it again. And that helps a lot with performance, because if you had to keep looking and going all the way up the chain for every time, you would never get anywhere, and you'd be better off using IP addresses.
Okay.
Tell you something that still confuses me now, and I've still never actually got a definitive answer to this, is when obviously you transfer a website from one place to the other, there's the A record, which is like the main record of the IP address where the website points to.
Yeah.
And basically, I now realise that that's the main way that you do that. But before, there's another thing called changing name servers over, and name servers are the actual hosting servers.
They are the SOA, yes. So they are the server that your record originates from.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's been sometimes in the past I've just literally changed those name servers, and that's
Sometimes I suppose because a lot of registrars, so domain registrars, they provide you with name servers, but then Memset will provide you one. DigitalOcean may provide you with one. Yeah, you can. It's just that's the SOA. That is the that is the start of authority. So that is the main server that your record originates from, and that can be changed.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing, like going on from Mickey's example is to determine your DNS. So in Windows, it's very easy to work out what your DNS server is you're using. It's just IP config and then /all. And in Unix terms, you just type dig. or you can actually type dig and a URL, and that gives you the DNS record for that actual URL. That's quite good, and you'll probably find that actually more often than not it'll be your router, your local router, your router at home. And then what you can do then is go onto your router at home to see what you're actually using. But typically, again, is that you probably are using your one provided by your ISP. There's a default one normally that each ISP uses, and you're probably going to be using that. There's one way of checking it, and this is the way I checked it with Virgin, is that Virgin, they provide some, like when you do a search and it's incorrect, so it's an invalid URL, they provide you with a results page, which pretty much is Google results with their ugly Chrome surrounded around it, which is lovely. So that's just them trying some adverts and stuff. So what you can do is use free alternative DNSs. So there's OpenDNS and Google Public DNS. There's a couple of benefits for them. Sometimes some of them got parental controls in the case of OpenDNS. Public DNS, Google's one, it's probably better performance because of how many people use it compared to small ISPs that may be using their own small ones. And it's Google. I mean, if you want speed, you go with Google. Probably better protection, security protection and stuff, again, because it's Google. So those two options there. I mean, I actually tend to use OpenDNS only because I find that they're actually the best in my area for DNS lookup, because you can check your times and how long things actually take to actually get a result.
Okay.
Yeah, it's such a complex topic, this, isn't it? There's so many kind of areas to know about.
There are like little. I mean, there's one actually interesting thing is that whole analogy we had last week, I think it was, Mickey, with the talking about having a server and it's in your own home.
Yeah.
Now, all our ISPs typically, normally in the server environment, you have static IP addresses.
Yeah.
And we all know our static IP and they don't change. But when you're actually an ISP and it's just your home network, your home broadband or home ADSL or DSL, that IP address may change. And it's dynamic, like the way they just do it, when the computer's been turned on and maybe you've reset your router and it's just changed it. Yeah. That can be a massive pain with your records, your DNS records, because obviously they're pointing to the wrong place now. One way of going about that is, firstly, you can actually, I'm sure a lot of ISPs actually do provide you with static IP addresses, but that costs quite a bit of money. Mm-hmm. But if you did want to go down the route of having it, your own server, you can use a service called noip.com. And there's a free version of that, and that actually puts a domain name to the dynamic IP address on your actual server. So the way it does that is there's a client that runs on your server, and that just continually pings, no IP like every hour or so. And if there's a change in IP address, it can work it out and then update the record that they provide accordingly. But that's another nice, dynamic IP addresses. You're not tied. You can still do stuff at home and have it available online without remembering the IP address or without having that worry.
What does that cost?
We have to use two routers at work, actually, because our internet connection isn't very good. So it's frequently switching from one to another, and that can be extremely frustrating because it can log you out of things, like if you're logged into
it's a completely different connection, isn't it? I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. If it senses that the IP has changed, it just chucks you straight out, and so quite often I have to go down there and I have to turn one of the routers off to stop that from happening. but we need both of them because our bandwidth down there is not very good. So it's a bit of a battle.
What does that cost, Ed? That no IP? I was just looking at their website.
Oh, the no IP free. There's a free solution that you can use. It's just a subdomain on there once. It'll be something like Mickey some blah 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 .noip.com.
Wow.
But it's just nice to have the option.
It's a good service.
It's definitely painful, but yeah, I mean, it's quite clever the way that they sneakily just a client on your machine at home.
Yeah,
that's the way they can work out, because there is no other way really, unless the ISPs play ball.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was going to say to Mike, like, how's all that stuff handled where you work? Do you have like a dedicated guy that does it all, or?
Pass. I think probably my boss, to be honest with you, but. It's a bit of a controversial issue, to be honest, but we don't really have a local environment because we have a lot of people working from home most days of the week. So we tend to...
You don't use Git or anything like that?
No, not at the moment. Right. It's something that we've been looking at, and one person was set with the task of looking into it, and but I can't see anything being brought in overnight, unfortunately.
But it is a big change, isn't it? That is the problem.
it really is. It's a huge cultural shift, to be honest with you, and to get everyone to buy into it is hard.
And also still be producing at the same pace.
Yeah. That's the thing. You're a working active business. I mean, while stuff like that's awesome, like where I'm working, we don't use any source control, and I think it's horrific. But it's kind of like Ed's saying, it's a huge kind of cultural shift, and to get everyone to do it, and then to actually stop producing like payable content for.
And there's going to be teething problems. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And people are going to want, instant results, and it is very hard.
It's again, it's another topic again for another time. But it's always, whenever you have something new like this, you have to say, okay, yeah, I think it's great as a developer, but you also have to say why it's great for the business.
Well, that's why the whole GUI thing you said with the PHP unit, how to sell it.
Exactly.
It's the way, isn't it?
Yeah. But to answer your question though, we don't. No one's really managing it. I guess the boss is, but we have, even our like dev sites would be live sites, if you will, and then on a different domain, and then eventually transferred. But no, we don't have anything. We don't really have anyone who specifically that is their role, I guess.
Well, I suppose that's kind of could be viewed as a positive thing, because it does seem like an extremely complex kind of area, doesn't it? But
you can't say it, but no,
you can get around. You can get around with knowing kind of just the basic stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
Definitely, without some of these really complex issues, I think.
Yeah.
Providing the main things are knowing where to change the IP address, the A records and the WW records and FTP and stuff.
Absolutely. So I guess so you've got this main role now at your place. You have to take charge of it, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a couple of weeks back. One of my main jobs, because we've been using 4 or 5 different places for hosting sites. So I've been getting them all into a central place. So yeah, there's been a lot of changing in A records and stuff going on. And I kind of learned that way. But even then, I thought like changing an A record would be enough to do everything, but not always. There's the WW record, and if that points somewhere else, then you get a different result if the person doesn't put the www in front of the website name and stuff.
What do you guys do for servers over there? Are you using VPSs, or are you using dedicated servers, or
Media Temple? They're the main one that we use.
Media Temple virtual private servers, or
no, the shared hosting.
Okay, right, okay.
Yeah. PHP 5.3.10. I think they're onto at the moment. But like I say, with Just Host being good with the online chat and stuff, I think the longest I've ever had to wait with Media Temple is about 3 minutes to speak to someone whenever I've had an issue.
That's if it works. There's no point changing it, is there? I guess.
Absolutely. No, I mean they're great. I can honestly say actually we haven't had any issues with them at all. Apart from I lost a file. I needed to try and get one file back off them, and they wanted to charge me for a whole backup for a site. So that's possibly my only negative bit of feedback. But other than that, no. I mean they've been very helpful, and it's a very easy system to get used to, the way all their control panel works and stuff.
Yep.
So that's helpful.
Yeah, we've. I know ours is with IOMart, and I've had to deal with them once or twice. I had one time where I brought a whole server down. It gone.
I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry.
I know. It was,
hey, you know what I'm going to get you to talk about in a minute?
No, not yet.
But it was past midnight, and I managed to get on the phone to one of them, and they helped me through it, and emotionally and technologically.
It's terrifying though, isn't it?
It's not fun. Terrifying. No, especially you've got e-commerce sites on there, but you just hope that no one's shopping past midnight. But yeah, no, I have to say they're pretty good, but I really don't get that involved, to be honest with you. But that's how I like it. But yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, so probably another good thing we should talk about is actually the structure of a URL, because there's top level domains, there's a host, there's a service, there's a port that you can be on. That's a good segue into then the DNS stuff.
Yeah.
The example I'll give you is like http:// www.google.com and :80. Now, what you're essentially doing there is just going to port 80 on the top level domain, which is .com. So that is like a big level domain. What we all know, yahoo.com, facebook.com. You then go into the host name, so it trickles down this way. This is how they read it. They read it back to front, really. .com, so it goes to .com, finds the DNS records for .com, goes to Google, finds the records for the host name Google, then goes and finds the host name for the subdomain for it, which is www for that one, and it uses the service HTTP for that. And there's other ones like FTP and back in the day Gopher. You're definitely unlikely to want to you definitely don't put port 80 on the end of each domain. But what's actually happening when you're in the URL in the browser, it's automatically going to port 80, it assumes, unless you specify otherwise. And I think we were talking about like the first episode, maybe the second one, when you're doing the dev environment, you've got localhost :8080 instead. And that's kind of like a dev given, that normally development will be done there locally or, on another port. But 8080 is very similar to 80, so, that's why they do that. But that's how like a domain's actually worked out. So in the case of like www.bbc.co.uk, it goes to the UK, then it goes to co, then it goes to BBC, and then it goes to www on the BBC. And that's how it trickles and how it finds its way to the actual IP address that you want.
I had no idea about that. I've just done it now in the browser. That's amazing. Yeah.
So then that's the thing when Lou was talking about was the hosts and the A records, and that gets banded around a lot. They're not scary. They look scary because if you change one and then you do it wrong, it can be a little bit intimidating. There are ways that I'll actually talk about how to get around that, and by testing it and stuff beforehand.
We managed to. We had to do that. It didn't we the other week actually when I was busy. You helped me find the previous one
stuff.
Yeah.
So the first record is an A record, and that's a host record, and it's an address record, and it's the basic mapping that you're going to get from an IP address to a host name. And it's the most essential record, pretty much. So as Lewis was talking about, this is the record that, firstly, there's an empty host, which is just maybe bbc.co.uk. That will go to an IP address. www or www is another address, a record that may go somewhere. And then you've also got a wildcard you could do, essentially, which is anything.bbc would go to one IP. It will go to one IP address, but that's kind of a catch-all at the end. You then have CNAMEs. Now, CNAMEs are very similar to, they're similar in the sense all they are really is an alias. So what you're actually doing is you can do this in example. I used to be very much, I would actually do a at record, which is just an empty record for an A record, and it also specify a www record as an A record. Actually, last couple of weeks, I've learned that you can just use a CNAME for one of those. And all it is, a CNAME is it saves you, it's like a symlink that we have in computers, or like a shortcut. And what it is saying that I want this record to be the exact same as that record, and it will just point to it. So in the case that I have now is I have my empty host record, which is just bbc.co.uk or something. Then I have a CNAME, which is www, which just points to my host record, my empty record. And that means I have the convenience that I only have to change the IP address in one place.
That's what I could have done with using the other day.
It's that whole battle. It's the whole www and non-www, because this is one thing like with SEO and stuff. I'm sure we'll talk about that eventually one day. And that's like duplicate content. You want your site to go to one of those and only one of those. Either go to www blah 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 or not. Non-www, because essentially, and this is another thing I only realised a couple of years ago. www is actually just a subdomain, much like cheese.eggman.com is another subdomain. It's just people use www because that's the default for subdomains. But a lot of people, like I included, don't like including www. We might just have the non-www. But every request that goes to www gets redirected to the non-www one.
Yeah.
And then we have mail exchanges and the mail exchange record. And this one gets a bit more. So you've got A names and C names. They're the ones you'll be playing around with. MX records are if you're going to play around with your email. And essentially all they do is it maps your email traffic to a specific server. This is quite familiar in the days of when Google Apps was free for like 5 per users or something. And what you could do is you could create an MX record there, and it would point to ghs.google.com, and that's their Google hosted site. And then Gmail would be able to host and deal with your server, deal with all your email. They literally do just deal with your email. Then that everything that goes to your app, blah blah blah, would actually just go through Google, go through their spam filters and stuff, which is great. Now they don't support that, but I have found, and I was doing this with the 3devsandmaybe.com email addresses. Outlook, Microsoft have got a competitive product that is free, and it's not too bad really. I mean, there's a couple of things like you don't get IMAP, I don't think, but it's great for what it needs to do. Because I did have a little look at setting up my own email server, but dealing with spam and stuff like that is just a pain.
Yeah.
The other two actual record types are NS, which is name server, and this contains the name server information for the zone. So the zone is actually each bit of the like UK, Co, blah blah blah. They're a zone. This will let you know this if you set this up. This lets you know that this is the ultimate authority for your domain. So when caching's looking up and everything. So if you configure this, your server will let other DNS servers know that yours is the ultimate authority, the SOA, the start of authority for that domain. And then any caching that happens will originate from this record. And then that moves on to the SOA one. And the SOA one you normally don't deal with. If you've got a registrar or hosting company that's running your DNS server, they will manage it. That's another thing you can, if you want, manage your own DNS server, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would just leave that to the professionals who have their servers, and deal with it. Let them deal with it.
Yeah, I think the services that are out there are fairly. Once you've done it a few times, I think they're fine, aren't they? I think they do more than enough without trying to go down the road of setting your own one up, unless you really know what.
Unless you really want, just like mail servers But I mean, with the records, really, as Lewis said, the A record is the one you care about, and then maybe the C record or CNAME, sorry. But yeah, so A records are the ones you care about for changing. But there is one last thing actually, and that is who is information.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a scary one because. Does anyone else want to chime in with who is their experiences with having to write down?
I was having an argument with someone on the internet, and then he found out my address and my phone number. I'm like,
no. And you don't have protection. You should go to Anonymous, man.
No, I haven't got a clue how to do that, to be honest. So
don't you have to pay extra for that?
This is the thing. That's why I've got a little bit on Hover versus GoDaddy, because I know you lot of GoDaddy people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fight, and I'm going to convince you all to go to Hover. That's my plan. But anyway, with who is information, that is literally what happens is it's the query and response protocol that is used for querying databases that store the registered internet resources, such as the domains, the IP addresses, and stuff. It's all in human readable format, like Fraser was saying. So, and it's one large criticism of who is that there is a lack of domain privacy. Currently, ICANN, which is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers who deal with all the IP addresses, require that you provide a mailing address, a phone number, and an email address of anyone who owns that. So it's the person who owns or administrates that domain name. They can all be easily found as well, like Fraser just told you. This also allows spammers and direct mailers and stuff. It is pretty scary, the fact that you're putting your address out there, especially on the interwebs, and so freely and easily available, because it's made to be that easy available. But what you can do is there is a thing called Who is Privacy, and a lot of the registries provide it. Hover provide it for free out of the box, which is what I love. And they hide your information. They provide it with their administrators, information and stuff, so you don't have to worry. That's one thing I do love about Hover. So that moves on then to with who is information. You can view everyone's view. So you might as well view Fraser's or Lewis's or mine or someone, and you can do that on the command line with just who is, which is command in Unix, and then like Google.com. Or there's, and I think Lewis mentioned this, is like you've got whois.net or something like that. Websites that deal with it.
Can I point out a really, really good library that I found to help me work with this?
Yeah, go for it.
Because one of the sites that I had to build for my company is something that kind of is tracking all our domain information in one place, rather than having to rely on LCN and a couple of the other ones to keep looking at those and see all the emails and everything that they trigger or don't trigger sometimes, as I said. I managed to find this library basically where you can literally give a list of domains, and it will run through this library, and it will give you all this information back. sourceforge.net/projects/PHP whois.
Cool. And put that in the show notes. If you send that across afterwards, we'd definitely.
Yeah, we'll do. It's really, really good. It's nice and easy to stick into the your website, and
just an array.
It's really nice. Yeah, a nice and it's the first thing I found actually that gave an array back. Which is what I was after, and this returns a nice.
Passes all that who is information for you.
Yeah, it does all
that's
of it.
Great,
and gives you a really nice array that you can then literally pinpoint what you want. It's
I might check that out because I'm interested in it.
I know. I said last week that for the sake of my own learning, I try and avoid using libraries wherever possible. But this is one kind of situation where you absolutely would need to use something like this, and this does everything. So if any of you guys ever need to do anything like that, like track domains dynamically or anything like that, then use this library.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Hover versus GoDaddy. So, I'm assuming all three of you're GoDaddy people.
I've got a few domains on GoDaddy.
It's just cheap, man. That's all it is.
It is. That is the thing. And you like the raunchy advertising.
I do love the raunchy advertising.
And the fact that it's so hard to use.
Yes.
Though I have noticed, I did do some research, and I was like, who is on your michaelbud.org? And you're now with Just Host on that one.
Yeah, it says Arizona, so I'm safe from anyone who's trying to
exactly.
hunt me down.
That's what I like, you know. But anyway, so they are essentially there are loads of these ones out there. DreamHost provided GoDaddy. I think Just Host provided it. Hover is their own one. I like Hover because it's simple, clean. You do pay a little bit more for each domain. You're paying £9, but you get free in quotes because that's probably subsidised at the price. Who is privacy, and it's just simple. I don't know actually with GoDaddy. With GoDaddy, do they give you web hosting and email and stuff for free?
No.
But I think it may be cheaper though, because I have read some comments on that, because the mail hosting and the web, there's no web hosting with Hover, but your mail hosting is ridiculously priced, like really. That's why it's nice to have the Outlook self-domain thing, and I'll put an email, I'll put in the show notes like the tutorial I used for that, which was so easy to set up. But yeah, I mean, I love Hover because they're just reliable, they don't try and upsell you, and they're just simple interface.
To be fair, Fraser, your number's not on there. Your address is, but your number, you're pretty safe.
Pretty cool. Which address is it? Is it the 156 one?
It is, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't live there anymore, so...
Someone else will get me.
I'm looking for me, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well...
Cool. We have gone over the hour mark, so is there anything else you wanted to say, Ed?
No, I think I've hit all the spots I want to hit, so what do you like?
You've hit all the spots I want you to hit as well, Ed, to be honest, so I feel very satisfied.
Good?
Yeah, to be honest, that's a topic as I've mentioned, it's not my favourite, but I've definitely learned a lot just listening to you, Ed, so...
I'm sure a lot of it was wrong, so if any of the users, listeners, can spot anything wrong, don't hate me, don't -1 us, just tell me I'm wrong, and I'll pretend I'm right.
Definitely. Anything else anyone else?
Get his steward's information, go straight to his house and tell him
Yeah. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to kind of wrap up with, or you're happy with that?
I think I'm happy. I was pretty quiet throughout the whole ordeal today because, to be honest, I'm not very knowledgeable in any of this stuff. So this was as much learning experience for me as the other 3 episodes have been. So thanks,
I'm sorry I keep talking all the time.
Mate,
no, you're killing it. It's good.
You bailed us out, definitely. So
I think you only really need to worry about this stuff in any great depth if you're thinking about freelancing it, I suppose. Or even then, you might even have someone that can take care of it for you. But from a point of view of having rounded knowledge of all the kind of areas, I mean, it's if you can just grasp the basics, then I think it gets you a long way along.
It's definitely
just
for me
how to transfer a website and stuff.
Exactly. For me, it's one of those areas I've learned what I've needed to learn and nothing more, which probably isn't good, but I think anyone who's listened to this, they'll probably have the same experience to start off with, that, you'll learn what you need to learn to get a site up, and then take it from there. And if you find it's something you're interested in, or you can learn more, definitely. So, I'll wrap up by then saying, so we're happy we can say that the website is up. It's not going to be...
It's up, and the podcast, and it's at the right thing. I mean, some people may have found that there was duplicates in their feed. Sorry about that. Pray best to unsubscribe and subscribe again if you want the votes. But also, it's because of the unique IDs and stuff. But yes, all the problems have been, and I'm hoping to do a blog post on how annoying iTunes is in the future.
Nice one. Cool.
But we're still hosting it there free though, aren't we? So we've got to be a bit careful.
Oh yeah, that'll be fine. Well, we're not. They just provide us the thing. That's the thing. We use Dropbox. That's another thing. Sneakily, use Dropbox for their free hosting of the actual website, of the actual files.
Yeah.
Nice.
But check out the site then. It's free, devsandthemaybe.com, and I understand both domains will work if you use the letter free or or number 3.
And
so
if you have actually, that's the thing. If you have anything to want to contact us, we've all got our names, so Ed, Fraser, and Lewis, and Michael. We've got contact at 3devsandamaybe.com.
yes.
And if we get a mailbag going, people, so listeners, if you are out there,
And
send us love letters.
love letters. And go on Who Is, and find our address.
track us down, kill us. Yeah. Are all our Twitter addresses on there now as well?
No, because I need to work out on the design front, but we can do that during the week.
Cool.
We're doing some work on this tomorrow, Ed, aren't
That's exactly it. Yes,
Nice.
definitely.
All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there. I would say what we're doing next week, but I can't actually remember what we're doing next week.
I think we need to work that out for email and stuff, but I'm sure we can talk about it offline.
Exactly. We're probably going to be doing something like object-oriented programming or frameworks, but
Frameworks would be an interesting chat.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, that would be awesome. So we hope that if anyone's listening, they'll join us again next week. So thanks for listening. Cheers.